You're listening to the Limitless Leadership Podcast, the podcast designed to help automotive repair shops learn how to lead, coach, train, and manage their team better by sharing proven techniques and thought-provoking interviews from industry leaders. Are you ready to transform your leadership skills by tapping into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results? Let's get ready for liftoff. It's time to go from great to greater. Here's today's episode.
All right, leaders, whether you're running a shop, leading a team, or leveling up in your career, you know details matter. And if you're like me, that includes keeping your beard on point. That's why I trust the Bearded Brotherhood. Their beard oils, beard balms, and mustache waxes, among other, are made with all natural ingredients, no junk, no shortcuts, just top-tier quality that keeps my beard looking sharp and feeling great. And let's talk scents. Whether it's their best-selling Woodsman or my personal favorite, Lone Stranger, the Bearded Brotherhood keeps me smelling fresh and my beard stays soft all day. If you take your beard game seriously, this is the stuff that you need. And because you're part of the Limitless Leadership podcast family, I've got a deal for you. Just visit thebeardedbrotherhood.co/lead15 to grab your favorite products and get 15% off in the process, because a great leader deserves a great beard. Now, back to today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Limitless Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Parnell. And before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things you need to on social media so that this episode, among others, is reaching people and building leaders. You know, that's what our mission is here at Limitless Leadership, to reach people and build leaders. And speaking of leaders, I'm joined by another leader in the industry, another great individual in this industry. He is the co-founder and CEO of Lift Auto Repair Marketing. Our guest today is Kelsey Outram. Kelsey, thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Josh.
Well, Kelsey, before we get started, go ahead and share with the audience who you are, what you do, all the things we need to know about Mr. Kelsey Outram.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Kelsey, and I am a male in this situation. A lot of people get confused and see my name first off and think, is this a girl I'm speaking with or not? Whatnot happens to me all the time, so it's no problem if you make a mistake. But obviously, I am a guy, and thus you might be a little bit surprised when you hear my voice and maybe the depth in which I kind of speak with. But yeah, my wife and I, we run a marketing company together that we help support auto repair shops here in this industry to the best of our abilities to help them grow and reach their goals that they want to have for themselves and their families and their communities. And in that form, obviously, marketing is important. And so we take care of doing all those elements of hopefully making that phone ring as much as possible, and then leaving the cars and the repairs and services up to the shop and the owners and teams that they've built there. So that's I guess in a quick nutshell of what we do, who we are. We currently reside in Utah. We used to live in Texas. I know you're in Houston.
Oh, cool. Okay.
We lived in Austin for 4.5 years, but we moved to here to Utah to be a little bit closer to our families and mainly for our kids and grandparent time. That was kind of a big deal for us to be able to move. And thankfully, with a marketing company, we're not tied down to any given brick and mortar location. So yeah, we were able to pick up and go and kind of settle down where we are now.
Awesome. Very good. And so you alluded to your wife, Jen Outram is the other co-founder of Lift Auto Repair Marketing. So I'll ask you, what got you into marketing? And furthermore, what got you specific to this niche, like this industry, automotive repair?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question that we do get asked quite often. And I love sharing kind of the story of how it came to be. And so my previous background was in finance, and that's why I graduated in college. And I started I was always good with numbers and doing those things. So it was always comfortable for me. So I started working in finance for tech companies, and that's where my career path was and what I saw it being. And we bounced when we moved from place to place, I just working for a different tech company doing finance. And then my wife actually has the background in marketing, and then that's what she was doing. But then we had our son in 2018, and that was amazing. And she wanted to really be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, absolutely, let's do that. And so I kept working. She was a stay-at-home mom. But then right around we're a year and a half, our son's about a year and a half, and she's already getting that itch just to do something again, having a kind of a creative outlet. And so we were looking, but she didn't want to go back into the office or do anything like that. She's like, I love being at home and I want to keep doing that. And then she was pregnant again with our second child. And so we're definitely not. It's what can we do to be able to start this? And I always wanted to start a business and didn't know how, or wasn't sure what to do. And I was like, you know, it's much more affordable to start a business here in Texas. We were living in the Bay Area before we moved to Austin. I was like, it's much more affordable here. And I've always wanted to try sales and do that type of thing. Because my background was also, I played baseball in college. And so a lot of my peers, they all go into sales. A lot of athletes, for whatever reason, go into sales. That's just like, maybe it's the mindset, maybe it's the personality. I don't know. But obviously I relate a lot to them because I grew up with them my whole life. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like I can do it. And now the fact is I'm selling how good my wife is at what she does. I was like, this probably is the easiest segue that I could ever have into introducing myself into sales. And so we started it like around February 2020. So right before COVID hit, we were like, we're doing this. Let's roll with it. And then COVID hit and we're like, holy moly. Like it's still a side thing though. Obviously I'm still doing my full-time gig. We're just working on the side, but it became prevalent. Like people needed business in different ways. And we're like, oh, well, we can market to this. And so we were a general agency in Texas, just helping any business. And then about a year and a half in, so in July of 2021, we got a business coach, and my wife found it honestly from a Facebook ad. It was a book that our coach wrote. She got it. She read it and she's like, you need to read this. And I was like, okay. So I read it and I was like, okay, how do we sign up? I was like, there has to be something that we have to do to sign up here. And so we signed up. At first, like the initial cost, I was like, ooh, I don't know how we're going to afford that. It's a monthly cost. It'd be like well over 10% of our recurring revenue. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to pull this off. But hey, if we don't change, like everything's going to stay the same. We're not going to get where we want to be. And so thankfully we took the leap. The biggest thing they had was you need to pick a niche and pick an industry, because we didn't have any focus. And so we were like, okay, where do we go from here in terms of what industry do we support? We're looking at all the businesses we currently did. And like, there was no one that I overly loved supporting. Our biggest space would happen to be attorneys at the time. And I was like, they just stressed me out working with them. I was like, when are they going to turn around and just like change their mind about how they feel about us? And so like, we were like, well, who can we like truly support and feel like we make a difference? And so honestly, like we're very religious. And so like we would like through a lot of prayer, honestly, we were like, hey, where do we need to support? And we felt strongly with auto repair for whatever reason. We didn't have any clients with it at the time. And so I was like, you know what, like let me do some research. So on the finance side, I was like, okay, let's see who are the companies in here. Let's see what they're doing, how they're doing it. And if we were to jump in, can we provide value very, very quickly to show people that we can thus support them and bring results and kind of make a name for ourselves in that sense. And I felt like as doing research, I was like, I think we can do this. I think the auto repair industry was honestly, for our coach, in his book, is one of the industries he had not to do, because he was they probably won't be able to like kind of afford some of the price points that some of our peers offer in marketing. And granted, every industry is different. They level different pricing for different programs. And so we were like, but I think this is what we need to do though. And the coach was like, I mean, it's your decision. So like, go. And we were like, yeah, we feel strongly that this is the direction that we need to go. And so we did it. And then thankfully we did, because we've grown a lot each and every year. And now we'll be 4 years at the end of this July. We've pretty much doubled in growth every single year. I mean, we're at 35 employees on our team now. We support near 200 locations across the nation. And so, yeah, it's been an amazing journey, amazing time getting to understand this industry. Because again, yeah, like there wasn't like I know everything automotive and thus I can support that. It wasn't, I mean, some people have that background where maybe they ran a shop before or whatnot, and that gives you kind of that hands-on experience that way. But I was like, you know what, we know marketing, and that's what people are going to hire us to do. So we just need to show that we can thus relay it now just to one industry. And I think we've been able to do a pretty good job of showing that.
Kelsey, I'll ask, so how do you, well, let me first start by saying this, as a believer myself, because Limitless Leadership is a faith-based company. And so I can 100% understand and relate to that turning point where you make that decision to pick a niche, and it kind of goes against the grain. It goes against logic. It goes against what your own coach is advising. And, you know, as a believer, I know like there's this kind of level of, there's like a certain level of peace, like an unknowing, it's a peace that kind of exceeds understanding, where it's like, hey, I know this is the direction we need to go in, and let's just keep on obeying. And so I can relate to that. And so kudos to you for, answering the call and obeying that call. I'll ask you, how has the fact that you don't have an automotive background benefited your business and the clients that you're able to serve?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so obviously having more experience in the industry. I mean, I think the biggest hurdle that we had, I guess, initially at first was kind of just the lingo of like, there's obviously there's certain language within any industry that's very related to that industry. For example, like we talk about ARO, we talk about techs and writers and bays and lifts and like just the amount of space that is covered in order to get certain dollars in and out, and thus how many cars can come in. They're just different levels where at first I was less like, we just need the phone to ring. That's what most companies need. We just need to do that. But then it became of like, okay, we need certain types of calls and certain ways of addressing certain words that are out there and the way people search. But understanding marketing, though, we knew then, I guess, the hooks and things that make people appeal to certain businesses, regardless of industry. Because as we service different industries prior to, like, I mean, we needed to do these different things for different places. And granted, now that we're focused on one, it makes it way easier where we're like, okay, now we've done it for hundreds of locations. And so like, we know what's working, and then we can just dabble and adjust based on that, rather than like kind of whole sweeping changes or really understanding like, okay, like, this industry, you cannot say this. And so we need to make sure we take that out of hooks and things like that. And we need to say this instead, is maybe the level of customers is different for each type of thing. But within an auto repair industry, I mean, the service is a community. And thus now we need a sense of community. The level in which, I mean, maybe it's a Euro shop versus a general auto repair shop. And so like now the level of customers is slightly different there. But for the most part, most of the customers are pretty much right in that same pockets of what they're doing, their median income, things like that. And so thus we know, okay, that common pain point of what that individual has, we understand that we're around those people all the time in our lives. And then we can address it now just purely just for auto repair. So I think that helped us come in the form of like, okay, yes, we don't know the exact language in which we need to use right away, but we know the different things that makes an individual tick in terms of, hey, that attracts me to going to that place to begin with. Right. And that kind of stays universal across multiple industries.
So you guys are studying behaviors and how, how they respond to certain things as well. I'd imagine, to make sure that you're able to suit the customer the best way possible.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I mean, with Google, there's all these different keywords and things that we need to make sure that you appear for. Because if you're not getting found at all, then it doesn't matter, like all these different things that maybe are on the website and the tags and the unique service propositions that you have. Like, yes, you have to have them, but if no one can find out what those are to begin with, it doesn't matter. Like, again, so we need to play the game of Google to make sure that you're ranking on those right keywords. But when they get there, now how do we make it as sticky as possible for them to result in, like, yes, I'm going to make a decision where it's like, there's no way I'm not going to choose this shop versus some of the other ones in town, even regardless of price. Because a lot of our clients they're not like, oh, we're just going for the cheapest shop in town and that's what we're going to market for. And we can market to the cheapest one. Like, no, well, like, I don't think there's any shop that we support that's like, yeah, we're clearly like bottom dollar of what we offer in town. Like, no, ideally they're on the upper tier. That's where they want to be. And so, I mean, the same thing with our service as well. Like, we're not on the cheapest tier of offering marketing, but so again, we want to market to the right persona and right people to then create that expansion of what people want to have come in to begin with.
So let's say I am a shop owner and I'm listening to this episode and I'm thinking, you know what? I don't currently work with a marketing company. I could use help getting the phone to ring. I could potentially use help with my website, with some SEO, with a handful of things that I'm sure you guys offer. What does it look like? I mean, what are next steps? Like, what does it look like to work with Lift Auto Repair?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I mean, before you even decide on like, hey, I truly need a marketing company. Like, I need to be busier. I think first and foremost, people need to ensure that they understand the processes that they have in place at your shop to begin with. Because yeah, it's one thing to make the phone ring, but like if the phone is ringing more, but you're not able to handle and bring those people in, all that dollar and all that time is for waste. And ideally, we do not want to put anyone in a position where they're feeling now they're stressed out. Like, oh, I feel like I'm wasting this money. And like, yes, they are helping, but I can't use it. And then they need to turn it down or turn it off. And like, no, ideally you want to be in a position where like you're able to turn it on. And so for me, that's where I'm a big proponent of coaching on that side of things, where like, hey, a coach is going to help you understand that internal process and your team and making sure that they're supported and happy. So when these things happen, when you turn the switch, you're ready and prepared. And so then when people are in that position of being of that readiness. And so for us, as we're talking with individuals and in the prospecting and set strategy session phase, like we want to make sure that they're a good match for us the same way that we're a good match for them. because not everyone will have that level of preparedness. We're not just like, oh, you just started a shop yesterday and now you're ready to have the phone ring, like, and you're the only person that's both answering the phone and like wrenching in the back. Like, no, that's just, this is not realistically going to work in the long run. We're like, our relationships, we don't want it to be like a 3-month deal. We're like, oh yeah, we helped you for 3 months. We're good now. Like, no, we want this to be like a long-term thing where like, we're consistently helping you like hit your goals, and goals change. So we help hit the new goals. And now you're like, oh, well, now I'm ready to get a new shop. Now we're helping with the new shop and getting things going there. Like, that's what we kind of want to cohesively do. But then once someone is in that position where they're ready, then yeah, we're very intense in terms of our onboarding process and ensuring that we understand everything that they have, both like previously and what they want in the future. So then that way we can move together in hitting those things. And so that's where our marketing services cover a large suite of things. Not everyone has to do everything with us, but we do offer it all. So that way they have the capability to be like, oh yeah, I need that now taken care of for me. Because everyone's in different phases where like some people need like, they're in a position where I don't need to handle any of the marketing anymore. I just need someone I can trust. Yeah. Perfect. We can take care of it all. Some people are like, I'm not ready for all of it yet. Or I enjoy doing some of these other things with some of the other elements of marketing, but some other, like, say it's just like the technical stuff of Google and whatnot. Like, I don't understand any of that. And so I'm like, perfect. We can take that off your plate and then at least start helping you understand too along the way. We don't want to just like, you're using us. Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions. We'll just get you the result. Like, no, like we want to help inform you of like what we are doing. So you can see the value and see the change that did take place and know that it's like not anyone can just flick on a switch and make it happen for you. So,
yeah. Well, and I like the fact that there's a vetting process. I like the fact that you're mindful of, do you even have the processes in place to make sure that you can convert that caller to customer to guest if we were going to make the phone ring to begin with? I'm curious, what does that process look like to vet? Like, let's say they don't have let me ask you this. How are you able to determine if they don't have the process in place? And furthermore, what do you do in terms of maybe do you refer them to a coach or a trainer or a training program? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, say as the questions that we ask are all going to be very general. And so first off, I mean, like, how many team members do you have? Like, how many people are in the back? How many people in the front? Are you any of those people? Like, ideally we're meeting with the owner. It's like, are you any of these people where like, yes, you're counting it as a number, but now if like something is needed, like, oh yeah, you're the one that gets pulled to the back. And like now someone's missing in the front. And that's now I know that, oh, you're going to have more missed calls than the average shop because now there's times where you're literally no one's up there. And so those are big things that we want to understand. And like, okay, how many bays? So that's how much capacity do you potentially have in your store? Because like, again, sometimes it reaches a means to an end where like you only have so much space and you only have so much time in a day that you're open, that thus where, hey, you're trying to hit this goal. I'm like, that's not realistic based on what your current dynamic is. So either you increase more space where you can have this dynamic happen, or you shift the mindset of your goal of like, hey, like this is what is more realistic based on the location that you have. And thus, yes, absolutely. You're like, hey, I have certain processes that instead of a $250K per lift goal, I can do $1 million per lift or whatever it is. And I'm like, okay, perfect. At least you have understanding people have those goals, and mindsets are important too. Because if they don't have that, if they're like, I don't know. Like, we're asking them numbers, say like, what is your revenue number of last year? And they're like, I have no idea what it is. I don't even have that written down. Like, okay, that's a red flag in terms of problem of like, eventually then as we're doing marketing for you, more than likely you will not see the connection of value. And thus that's where then now you're not happy. And then we're like almost frustrated of like, we are doing stuff though. And this is the connection. You're just not putting it together. Then again, that sets us up, both sides up for failure. And then that's not what we want at the end of the day. We want both sides to succeed, happy partners, work together for a long time, and then continue to like just build upon that.
If I'm listening to this episode, I'm really encouraged by what I'm hearing, Kelsey, because I feel like you're going to take care of me in the process, meaning even if I'm not the right fit, you're going to let me know why I might not be the right fit right now and the steps I need to take in order to get there. You talked about happy partners working together for a long time. Let's talk about happy partners, because your partner, your co-founder is your wife. What advice would you give to the listening audience on what it's like to work with your spouse and furthermore, to run a business with your spouse?
Yeah. I mean, again, I have absolutely loved it. Like, is everything perfect along the ways? Like, no, there are times where we'll get frustrated with each other. It's primarily due to me, and in my mind of like, I get a little bit stubborn in certain terms of a certain way that I'm like, this is going to work. And she's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, yes, it is. And then obviously we have a discussion about it. And I realize, okay, you're definitely right. I just need to listen. But there, like, again, as we grew together on it, like for me, like learning the sales side of things, I'm like, okay, I just need to be able to properly present how amazing I know she is at marketing. And like, I'm like, this is going to be so easy. And so it's just, again, I was able to speak so confidently to it because I was like, I've seen her do this, like as like in her job before, and then now with like now as we're helping clients, I've seen her do this, and so thus I know like this will. There's a strong likelihood that this is going to happen for you. And now we've grown to the point though, like it was back again where like we were growing really fast. So I definitely needed her support. But then we started feeling the pull away from like our kids of like, hey, like too much time is needed in the business. And so it got to the point where like we literally wrote down everything my wife did in the business, made a job post for it, and hired it out. And then thus she trained that person for a little bit. And then, so now she's more of like a one-off consultant, I say, in the business. And times where she has that itch again, or like she's seeing certain things, or she watches a certain podcast or something like that. She's like, hey, you know what? I think the team needs to understand and know this. Then we'll jump in and have discussions like, hey, let's get this moving. And then she'll peel off again. And then be like, yeah, no, I'm happy being a single. So now we have 3 kids, and we have a baby that's 8 months almost now.
Okay.
So we're very busy. It's sports season right now too. And so like we're like constantly like our April calendar, it looks insane right now in terms of every night we have at least a game or a practice.
Oh yeah.
Usually both. So we're all over the place. But at the same time, I mean, as we were doing this, we just knew like the balance that we needed to have, both like, hey, during business hours, we're talking about business, outside of business hours, do our best not to like kind of just bring that carryover so that it just stayed all day long within our relationship. Like it needs to be separate. Yes, we work from home too. So it made it very tricky where like we were talking about business a lot, but we were at least self-aware enough to know that, hey, yeah, we are going too deep into this hole. And thus like where there's times where like our kids need our attention, right? Like this time of day. Absolutely. Yeah. And so thus, thankfully, we're able to set those boundaries pretty clearly. And at the same time, we set those boundaries with clients as well in terms of understanding like, hey, like business hours are business hours. Outside of that, I'm not just like, yes, I see your message, but I'm not going to even try to text you back or message you back, because then I'm going to get stuck into the rabbit hole of like working way outside of business hours. Yeah. I don't want that for myself or our family. And so like, we kind of just made sure that was the guidelines. And now, yes, we have a bunch of team members, but I do the same thing for them. Like, hey, make sure that our customers understand that they are going to, because yes, people are busy, owners are busy, shop owners are like, hey, I'm busy throughout the whole day. I remembered at night. And so that's when I sent the message or email. And that's totally fine. Like, please do that because we don't want you to forget. But at the same time, like we will not get back to you until like first thing when we're online again, business hour wise, because we want to keep that practice. And I want to make sure everyone on our team is happy as well, not just working 24/7.
If you're listening to this episode, Kelsey is sharing some incredibly wise words, setting boundaries, and more importantly, keeping boundaries. It's one thing to set them, but it's another thing to actually keep them. And I like the fact that you set clear expectations on the front end of the process with your team, with your customers. That way they know when your working hours are. That way you and Jen can have that healthy balance that you alluded to. In regards to the advice, what I'm hearing is listen to your spouse, which by the way, I can use some of that as well. So listen to your spouse and also set and keep boundaries. You talked about your team. You talked about when you got to a place where you wrote out all of the things you were doing, and then you started, you created a job description and hired for that role. And remind me, you're up to 30 plus team members now on.
We're at 35. So.
Very good. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
I'll ask you, let's shift from, leading you and Jen collectively, the two of you are leading each other, to growing your business to where you're now leading 35 people. What does that look like from a leadership perspective? What's some leadership advice you can give to someone who's growing and scaling their business and just moving fast, but trying to figure out how we can keep this thing afloat in a healthy way? What advice could you give? Yeah,
I mean, that's it. We're constantly figuring it out, because again, like as you're growing so quickly, there's so many new faces and new team members, and again, this will not be the final destination for everyone. I would love it. I would love for it to be. But I'm in a very competitive area here in Utah where there's a lot of tech companies, and thus where they are able to offer very high compensation, very high incentives and benefits and whatnot. So at times, yes, like not everyone is based in Utah. We're 100% remote. So we have people everywhere. But if they are here, in a sense, like it's very competitive. And again, it's looking that way more and more so as more tech companies pop up, and they just have more of a flexibility that they're able to offer based on their certain margins and things that they do that's different than most. So maybe they have PE backing or whatnot there too. And so with that, again, we need to be attentive to what their needs are. And again, our team, I'm one of the older ones on my entire team. And I'm 34. And so like thus everyone is on, I would say, the younger end of the spectrum of things. And thus they have different needs, different mindsets, different lifestyles than myself. Yeah. And so understanding like how I can foster those passions at the same time for them. That's maybe like, I would never in a million years want that for myself. But if that's what they want, then that's what matters the most in certain situations of keeping them happy, and the happy they are, the more that they're going to support like the business that we're doing and the clients that we support. So it kind of all has that trickle forward as I'm continuing to learn. But as we kept growing, I was like, there was a clear need for upper management was what was kind of the hardest thing to almost give away. Was like, hey, like I had my piece in the pie of so many different things, like understanding everything about the business, but that was also to a detriment of like, I would get sucked into things where I was like, oh, I honestly don't need to be into that. Or like my team should be able to take care of that or have that opportunity to take care of those things, to learn from that experience. And so we're creating an upper management tier, and even a tier below that at times was like super helpful across the board. And then, but just laying out the clear responsibility of each individual. Like, this is what I expect of you. Absolutely. At times you'll bring it to me. But if I see that, yeah, like, you're bringing up a question maybe multiple times, that's like, I want you to take care of this. Or I'll just straight up be like, hey, can you take a stab at doing this yourself? And then if you're struggling, then let's definitely talk about it. Because without giving those opportunities to like almost fail, in a sense, they're not going to grow unless your company won't continue to grow as you continue to scale and have those efforts. So yeah, those are kind of big things where I allowed our company and our team members to be in situations where like it's okay to make mistakes, and we'll continue to learn from them. Granted, I don't want our customers to feel like they're also like trialing through mistakes. Like we don't want that experience as well. But at the same time, we create that balance. And I think with that, it's allowed a lot of our team members to be able to flourish and kind of hit capabilities and attributes that maybe they wouldn't have before. So
yeah. That is I feel like everything you say, I'm like, I love what you just said, but the reality is I do love what you just said, Kelsey. I mean, in relation to leadership principles, I'm hearing you talk about empowerment. I'm hearing you talk about, I mean, just the concept of servant leadership. Take care of your people take care of you, and you're regularly pouring into them, investing in them. You're empowering them through delegation. You're holding them accountable. You're setting clear expectations, and they're growing because of it. We know that growth and comfort can't coexist, and you're empowering them in a way to get comfortable being uncomfortable so that they can grow. And I really like and appreciate the fact that you talked about the importance of even potentially allowing them to fail. I mean, you're giving them permission to make mistakes. You recognize that it's an opportunity for growth. They can learn through those mistakes, and they're going to grow through those mistakes. And so I think that's some wise words that you shared that unfortunately a lot of folks don't typically capture. They feel like, well, that person's not going to do the job as well as I can, so I'm going to just jump in and do it for them, and I'm stunting everyone's growth and development, including my own. And you're saying like, look, we're hiring you for a reason. We're empowering you along the way, and we're going to trust that you're going to give it your all and give it your best. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. We're going to learn from it, and we're going to grow from it. But at the same time, you have the opportunity to really capture growth, and that's what you're giving your team to do. So, man, kudos to you for that. I mean, as a leadership coach, like I love hearing what you just shared. So that's excellent.
I appreciate that very much.
Well, let me ask you. So, just from just a pretty direct question, what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership means to me, I mean, I've had a lot of great leaders in my life. I've been in obviously positions of leadership, but I think some of the best leaders, the way that sets them apart is that servant-based like attitude in a sense of like, hey, how can I best support your needs versus kind of directing and telling them what they should be. There's obviously times where I was always honestly on the quieter end of things, really a good portion of my life, very, very introverted. And when I was put into like, say I was on a team and I was a captain or one of the captains, it'd be more so due to the way I acted and the way I did things versus the way I said things. I was never a vocal leader. I was always like, oh, I'll just do the right things, and then I'm good, and maybe people will watch. And that's the way I was. But then it got to the point where I was like, I need to be vocal in terms of sharing maybe why I approached it a certain way. But you don't understand how to share those things and that why without truly understanding the individual of like, hey, like people understand things differently and how they need to receive it. So I think that's what sets, really good leaders apart. I mean, I'm working on it constantly. I'm like, how do I be a better leader for our team? And that way I can help them continue to grow. And I think just by listening and then serving them from there.
Yeah, very good. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this gives you the opportunity to show up for your team in maybe a different way than they're accustomed to. Last question I have for you, Kelsey, is what advice, what's the best advice you've ever received from a coach or a mentor?
Yeah. And I feel my eyes are getting watery for some reason.
I think I might have the answer. The best advice was actually, you didn't listen to it. The best advice was to actually go after automotive repair. And when your coach told you not to, am I right here? Okay. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, definitely. But honestly, I obviously aside from that point where we didn't follow that direct correlation in his book. He didn't tell us that directly. It was just kind of in his book, but listening to your coach and like at least attempting to like do what they're telling you to do. Because I think a lot of the times, like when a lot of people maybe don't get a coach for a long time and then they try it out for that initial time and they're like, what is this person telling me? Like, I know this stuff, or there's a lot of pride sets in terms of like, why did I even do this to begin with? And they don't even attempt and try to listen what that feedback is. One of the biggest, I would say one of my wife and I's superpowers is that we take action very quickly based on suggestions that people give. And like to a T from like any coach that we have, we try it out to the best of our abilities. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But almost every single time it's worked to some degree. And now maybe there's certain levels in which we're like, okay, this element that they shared with us works a lot better for us maybe than this other element that they also shared for us. So we're going to really push hard into this one side of things, but we wouldn't have known that without trying all the things and information that they shared. So I guess there isn't one direct piece of advice that I have for like, hey, this leader told me this thing, and that's why maybe we have seen success or some view of success that maybe other people would take on. But for me, when a coach is so important. I mean, even the most successful people in the world have coaches, especially I always related back to athletes because athletics was just a big part of my life. And I mean, you have say some of the best players in any sport and they have multiple coaches teaching them on little different things within what they do for their job or their business. And so why as a CEO of an auto repair shop or a CEO of a marketing company, would I not have a coach that, yes, maybe they didn't do exactly, or ideally they have experience, they've seen success in the exact industry that you have. But even if not, even if like they have just a different mindset or experience of like coaching someone else, that then they like, you are a very similar person. So I think this might work for you. That's why they shared it with you. And if you just go ahead and just not try, that to me makes no sense at all. And so I think I'm a big proponent. Just listen, try out everything that is suggested for you. You will then guarantee find certain things that work better than others. And if for whatever reason you're not jiving with that personality, it's not that, oh, all coaching is useless now. It's like, no, just find a different one to also try out and see if that one resonates better with you from there. Because the first one you try more than likely will not be the one that you're like, oh, that's my forever. Yes, sometimes that is like you relate with that person so well. You're like, I'm never going to lose this person as a coach. But most of the time, like they help get you to a certain level. And you're like, okay, I need a different level now. And they've gotten to me. I'm super grateful for them. Let's try something else now. And I think that's like the approach people need to take with coaching and leadership.
That is so good. Take action. Knowledge without application is just information. And again, Kelsey, I love that answer. I mean, to me, it's like as a coach, I see opportunities sometimes where clients are not taking action, and we sometimes revisit the same thing. And it's like, look, this is turning into the definition of insanity. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And so if we just take action, you're going to find value and new perspective in some form or fashion by just trying it. Just put forth the time, effort, and energy. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for this episode, Kelsey. And actually, I do have one more question. This is my final question. I will ask, because if someone is listening and they're saying, hey, I loved what he had to share today. I am potentially looking for a marketing team to work with. How can we get in touch with Lift Auto Repair Marketing?
That is a fantastic question. I mean, you can find us on our website, which is liftautorepairmarketing.com. Obviously, a very long domain name. I know it's a hassle to type out, but we did it on purpose. That way we threw auto repair marketing in our domain name. So that way there's no confusion in terms of what we do and what industry we support. But you can find us that way. You can email us it would be info@liftautorepairmarketing.com, or on our website. I mean, you can book meetings with us. You can find me on Facebook. You can find team members on our Facebook. We have a free Facebook group that has like 2,000 owners in it. You can join that, connect with us, and we just are sharing information in there constantly in terms of the latest marketing trends and whatnot there, along with other owners sharing their advice. So yeah, that's what I'd say. In order to reach out to us, there's a lot of different ways. Hopefully it's not a struggle. We did it on purpose to make it very simple to be able to reach out to us in whatever medium works best for you.
Excellent. Kelsey, thanks so much for being here. Will you be at any upcoming conventions, conferences? What's on your schedule?
So I'm trying to do better about honestly not attending personally, because just again with the kids' sports and whatnot, I really want to be there because for this period of time where I won't get it back. And I would much regret missing that more than missing, say, another conference. Or there's surprisingly a lot of conferences in the auto repair industry.
There's a lot. You're right.
Which is no joke. But we're involved with a few other groups, and so we'll be at some conferences that kind of related to some of those other groups. Some of the general ones that are out there. I think we were at Vision earlier this year.
Yeah, I saw you there.
I think maybe there's a couple in the fall period. I'm honestly, I thankfully I have my team to take care of those elements, and we'll be at different places in different ways. But I also host regular webinars and whatnot, where like if you're in a sense having a mini event that's online, we have those constantly, so you can find us there as well.
Excellent. So. Very good. Well, Kelsey Outram, thanks again for joining us on the Limitless Leadership Podcast. Hopefully this is not your last time on here, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Josh.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for tuning in to the Limitless Leadership Podcast. Have a great day, everyone. Don't forget to smile today. Tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. I'm Josh Parnell, reminding you to keep leading